The 100 Acre Wood had always been a place of joy and comfort, largely because of Christopher Robin. But one crisp autumn afternoon, he gathered his beloved friends, Pooh Bear, Piglet, Tigger, Rabbit, Eeyore, and Owl, and delivered news that settled like a lead weight in their small hearts. He was growing up, he explained, and soon he would have to leave for college, a far-off place that meant he wouldn't be able to visit them as often. Though he promised to return, his absence cast a long, quiet shadow over their days. During his time away, Christopher Robin's life began to expand. He even found a girlfriend. One evening, while at a bustling carnival, his girlfriend, with a playful smile, stepped up to a game and, with unexpected skill, won a shiny, brand new Pooh Bear for him. It was a gift, a sentimental reminder of his childhood. And Christopher Robin brought it back with him on a subsequent visit to the wood. The original Pooh Bear, who had always known Christopher Robin's every thought, felt a pang of unease at the sight of this pristine new arrival. The new Pooh Bear, however, was not content with merely being a novelty. Under the cover of a quiet evening, it stalked and captured the original Pooh Bear, dragging him deep into the woods and tying him securely inside a hollow tree, leaving him disoriented and alone. The impostor then seamlessly took its place amongst the friends, its movements a little too precise, its words a little too perfect. Days later, Eeyore, in his usual melancholy ambling, stumbled upon the hollow tree and, to his horror, saw the real Pooh Bear bound and gagged within. He immediately started to hurry off for help. But before he could deliver his terrifying news, the impostor Pooh Bear intercepted him, acting innocent, perhaps even asking Eeyore what he was doing. Eeyore, terrified of the impostor and unable to speak the truth, quickly fabricated an excuse, claiming he was just looking for honey for the gathering. The impostor, with a chilling dismissiveness, replied, "Oh, the honey can wait. We don't necessarily need to be looking right now for the honey." But Eeyore, desperate, insisted it was really urgent. The impostor, sensing Eeyore's knowledge, quickly separated him from the others in a secluded clearing. The impostor Pooh Bear brutally attacked Eeyore with horrifying precision. It cut off Eeyore's ears and tail, and then, in a macabre display of dominance, stitched them back onto his body in all the wrong places. But the torment wasn't over. The impostor then killed Eeyore and hung his mutilated body upside down from a tree. A silent, gruesome warning. Unaware of the full horror unfolding, Tigger, bouncing through the woods in his usual boundless enthusiasm, stumbled upon the chilling sight of Eeyore's inverted body. His boundless energy curdled into terror as he understood the grim reality. "Help! Help! Help!" he bellowed, his voice echoing through the silent wood. Tigger's cries brought the others to the scene. Piglet, Rabbit, and Owl. As they stared at Eeyore's grotesque form, a wave of confusion and horror washed over them. Piglet, his mind racing, recalled the new Pooh Bear's strange comment about honey. But we were just with Eeyore," he stammered. "And Pooh said we should go back and let Eeyore look for honey alone." The first seeds of suspicion against the impostor began to sprout. Sensing its deception was in peril, the impostor Pooh Bear enacted a cunning plan. It quickly slipped away from the horrified group, found the original Pooh Bear's prison tree, and freed him. Then, with terrifying self-mutilation, the impostor brutalized itself and cleverly tied itself up, making it appear as if it had been the victim. When the other friends, still reeling from Eeyore's death, saw two Pooh Bears, one free and disoriented, the real Pooh Bear, and one seemingly brutalized and tied up, the impostor. The impostor's act was tragically convincing. Despite Piglet's nagging memory of the honey comment, the injured impostor, now feigning confusion and helplessness, successfully redirected their suspicion onto the disoriented, freed original Pooh Bear. The group, believing the impostor was their true friend, took it back into their fold, leaving the real Pooh Bear isolated, feared, and still desperately trying to convince his friends. With its cover re-established, the impostor Pooh Bear began its insidious hunt. It approached Tigger, playing on his trusting nature. "Tigger, old pal," it whimpered, acting weak from its ordeal. I need your help reaching something just out of my grasp. It's too high for me. But with your bounces, you're the only one who can reach it." Eager to help his friend, Tigger bounced up to the designated spot. The impostor, with chilling strength, ensnared him and dragged him into a macabre straightening machine. It forced Tigger's tail into the contraption, brutally stretching it until the spirited Tigger was killed, his joy turned to agony. Next, the impostor sets its sights on Owl. It walked into Owl's treehouse, likely under some false pretense. But Owl, sharp and wise, saw through the facade. Immediately, his deep, knowing voice cut through the air. "I know who you are. I know why you're here. But you must know that I will not let you hurt my friends." The impostor's feigned innocence vanished, its eyes hardening. A chilling, low voice replied, "They should be the least of your worries." A brutal, extended fight ensued, the longest any character has lasted against the impostor. Owl, using his agility and knowledge of his home, fought valiantly, pushing the impostor to its limits, exhausted and battered. It seemed Owl had finally won. He turned his back, panting, believing the threat was over. But from behind him, the impostor's voice, cold and triumphant, uttered its final taunt. A wise owl should know not to ever turn its back to its enemy. With that, the impostor brutally sliced off both of Owl's wings, then snapped his neck, leaving him a broken shell of his former self. Meanwhile, Rabbit, still separate from the others, stumbled upon the horrific sight of Tigger's stretched body, terror-stricken. He raced to find Owl, only to discover Owl's mutilated form, the full, monstrous reality of the impostor's rampage crashed down on him, driven by a desperate need to warn his remaining friends. Rabbit began a frantic search for Pooh Bear and Piglet. At the same time, the real Pooh Bear, still disoriented but desperate, continued his pleas to Piglet. "We're old friends," he begged. "You should know me." As Piglet looked at him, the truth finally dawned. The real Pooh Bear had the familiar, comforting signs of age and wear that the pristine impostor lacked. Piglet's earlier doubts solidified into a horrifying certainty. "Pooh Bear," Piglet cried, tears streaming down his face as he began to frantically untie his true friend, who was still bound from the impostor's earlier deception. Just as the real Pooh Bear stood free, Rabbit, frantic and wide-eyed, burst into their vicinity. But before he could fully articulate the horrors he'd witnessed, a cold shadow fell over them. The impostor Pooh Bear, its charade utterly shattered, emerged from the tree line, its eyes filled with predatory malice. It saw the real Pooh Bear untied, saw the knowledge and terror in Piglet's face, and understood its time for deception was over. The impostor lunged, kicking the real Pooh Bear brutally back into the hollow of the tree where he had been imprisoned, and began to savagely attack him. Determined to finish its grisly work, the fight spilled out of the tree again, a desperate struggle between the true Pooh Bear, battered but fighting for his life, and the monstrous impostor. Just as the battle raged, Rabbit finally arrived, seeing the horror of the two Pooh Bears, and without hesitation, he bravely threw himself into the fray, trying to help the real Pooh Bear. But the overwhelming terror of the scene was too much for Piglet. His small body gave out, and he fainted, collapsing to the ground. The impostor Pooh Bear, a relentless engine of malevolence, quickly overpowered the original Pooh Bear, leaving him unable to rise. Rabbit, fighting with furious desperation, tried to hold off the monster, but the impostor was too strong. With a sickening tear, it ripped one of Rabbit's feet off. Rabbit screamed, falling, but the impostor wasn't finished. It picked up a discarded carrot, a cruel irony from Rabbit's own garden, and plunged it into Rabbit, ending his brave stand. The 100-Acre Wood fell silent once more. A profound, grim quiet. The impostor stood victorious over the fallen forms of its victims. But then, a flicker of movement, Piglet, slowly, agonizingly, began to regain consciousness. As his vision cleared, he saw the two Pooh Bears, the impostor still looming, and the real Pooh Bear, battered but stirring, pushing himself up, fighting to stay conscious. They were still locked in a desperate, final struggle. His gaze then fell to the ground, and amidst the horror, he saw the carrot used to kill Rabbit, and next to it, a small, familiar slingshot. A desperate plan ignited in his tiny mind. With trembling hands, he grasped the slingshot, loading the carrot. As he aimed, the impostor, Pooh Bear's voice cut through the air, perfectly mimicking the warmth it had so expertly faked. Its final, insidious attempt at manipulation. Piglet, shoot this impostor, so that way we can go ahead and get some honey. But Piglet did not waver. His previous confusion was gone. He knew the truth. From the struggle, the real Pooh Bear, battered but resolute, met Piglet's gaze. His voice, strained but full of trust, whispered, "Choose wisely, old friend." That was all Piglet needed. With a surge of courage born of love and grief, he released the slingshot. The carrot flew true, striking the impostor Pooh Bear with a sickening thud. The monster stiffened, its form distorting, a silent gasp of defeat. It crumpled to the ground, lifeless, its evil extinguished. Silence returned, a heavy, grieving silence, but one now touched by relief. Piglet, trembling, dropped the slingshot. The real Pooh Bear, panting and battered, collapsed against the tree, his gaze fixed on his small, courageous friend. And then suddenly, the horrifying images of the impostor, the screams of his friends, the fear and the struggle all faded into a blur. Pooh Bear awoke. His eyes fluttered open, blinking against a soft, familiar light. He felt a gentle warmth beside him, a comforting presence that banished the lingering chill of the nightmare. He turned his head slowly, and there he was, Christopher Robin, sleeping peacefully, nestled beside him, just as he had always been. The 100-Acre Wood, with its horrors and its monsters, was gone. Only the quiet, safe reality of his boy remained. The memories were a jumble of fear and pain, but as he snuggled closer to Christopher Robin, a profound sense of relief washed over him. He was home, he was safe. A soft sigh escaped him, and then, almost to himself, Pooh Bear uttered the words that had echoed through his nightmare, and now brought a small, knowing smile to his face. No more honey before bedtime.